You ask a VIP why he likes this game and that game and the games he plays. It won't be like, oh, because they're all Egypt games. One might be that he plays this music game whenever he plays with his wife. And then he likes dogs. And then this one dog slot he likes also.
Hi, welcome to another episode of CEOpen Mic. Today we're hosting Alexis Wicén, and your portfolio, the companies that you run or you founded on LinkedIn, is so big that I think that's going to be best if I ask you, who is Alexis? What kind of businesses do you run? Who are you?
Great to be here. Thank you. I'm looking forward to this open mic. Yeah, I mean, I've been around for quite some time. I've started in iGaming in 2008, I think it is now. So I've been around for 15 years now. I've been working primarily in casino most of the time on the operator side, but 5 years ago I decided to start my own companies, one that runs online casinos and one that produces gamification solutions for online casinos for operators. So our gamification solutions are what we're pushing most now and trying to get out there as much as possible. We have about 25 casinos live now, so it's actually started to grow now. Everything when you build a SaaS company, SaaS, it always takes time. You have to build your product and hope that someone's going to buy it after a while and so on. But at least it's starting to get there now, I think.
You ruined my plan a little bit. I wanted to get into that a little bit later, but let's do it now. So you could consider yourself as a startup, right? I mean, you started a number of companies, and is the Unibo, because that's the name of the company you mentioned, is it the first one to really take off, or did you have any success before it?
No, that's that one together. So Unibo together with Scatters are the ones that are the first companies I started, to be honest. Before that, I worked as an employee for various companies. I used to be at Betsson for a few years. Before that, I was part of Redbet and that group of companies that was Bonnier Gaming and then changed its name to Evoke Gaming and so on. So I've been a worker most of the time, and then now 5 years ago I decided that it was time to do something with my knowledge, and the team that I have behind us in the companies is really good. So I think we can do well going forward.
All right, but just to make sure, did you just say that the first company that you ever founded is actually profitable, is going up and doing good? Is that what you said?
Yes, eventually. It took it some time, but right now it's starting to look like
That's
it.
amazing.
So it's
That's whoa.
yeah, it took 5 years, but now it's really starting to look good.
All right, that's amazing. I mean, you could consider yourself as one of, I don't know, 1% of people like that. So congratulations.
That's what they say, right? 90% of all startups fail in the first half year
Yeah,
or something like that.
definitely, yeah. Let's put all that into a little bit of time frame. So you started in that sector, like as you said, roughly around 15 years ago, but you did not move to Malta at this very same time, right? That was a little bit later. So what's the story? How did you get into iGaming sector, and what brought you to Malta?
When I left the university, I studied the computer science, and when I left university, I had a friend who worked for a online sports betting and poker company called Redbet. So they had an opening there for a sports betting analyst. So I got the job there, and then started working at producing sports betting odds from scratch. But then it turned focus more into casino, and I became casino manager. And then we moved the company from Sweden, or it was under a UK license, but they moved the company down to Malta and set up the MGA license and all of those things. So that was happening in 2010, and I moved down in February in 2010. So I've still been in Malta for 14 years now. So it is a while. But yeah, after that, became head of casino, became managing director for Redbet, and then I became managing director for casino brands at Betsson Group in 2015, and worked there for 3 years, taking care of their casino-only brands. And then that's kind of where the love for casino. I've always been a love of various games. I've played poker back in the boom, of course, as everyone did. But yeah, games have always been a big part of my life. And what better way than to work with it then? Work with gamification, work with casino games.
That's true.
You can do what you love, right?
That's true. Would you consider yourself as a player?
You mean a casino
Yeah.
player? Yes, I gamble my fair share as well. I think you should use the tools that you're
Mhm.
selling, or otherwise, how are you going to be able to make them better? How are you going to understand what your customers are looking for if you're not even a customer of the product yourself?
That's true. That's true. Yeah, I agree with that. All right. So for me, that's a very rare occasion to have somebody who both worked as an employee, even though you were a senior manager, you were still a hired manager, and then you moved to your own business. So let's explore a little bit of your experience and a little bit of your feeling. Uh, so first of all, as an entrepreneur to entrepreneur. Uh, are you happy with the decision?
Yeah, I think it long term is going to be fun. It's obviously lots of ups and downs, and it's a hard route to walk. But in the end, it's usually it can probably turn out quite well
All right.
in
Would
the
you
end.
do it again?
Probably slightly differently, but yes, I would likely do it again.
All right.
Yeah,
So, what would you say were the
I
biggest
could
mistakes that you ever did as an entrepreneur?
to spread focus, not having a lot. We had a lot of things that we wanted to do, and spread our focus a little bit thin. But yeah, having a great idea is probably key to getting something to take off, especially if you're going into a new kind of market. Our product is a niche product compared to what I mean. You have your game providers and you have your platform providers, and then as iGaming becomes more and more, yeah, bigger and bigger, then all the other niche tools that comes out can add a lot of value to a lot of companies that might not be able to build those things themselves or focus on doing those things themselves.
And you said about focusing on too many things at the same time. How would you choose? How do you choose the right thing to focus on?
Well, that's probably you can always hope to have more hours in each day, right? But yeah, it's always hard to. But in the end, you have to go where you get most back for your effort. I think not focusing on the small things, focus on the overall big things, and making sure that you move the needle
Mhm.
that ways.
Mhm. And how about did you get to the point with any of the companies or any of the ventures that you took? Did you have the point where you said, okay, I invested enough of my time to do the thing, like whatever the thing was, like one of the things that you did, and you said, okay, that's enough. Let's close that. Let's take a step back and let's focus on something else. Did you ever had this kind of moment?
Yeah, it's. I think it's important to try different things, and you have to be able to give up the things that you try if you notice that they're not working. I mean, that's the fallacy they say, like the sunk cost prison, right? You put so much effort into something that you don't want to leave it because then you lose all the effort that you
Mhm.
put in. So you end up spending even more effort, and in the end, maybe even giving up. But you're trying to hold on to something that might not be working, and yeah, sometimes you have to just accept your losses and cut your losses, and then move on forward.
But how do you define it? I mean, do you have what kind of manager are you? Are you more intuition based that at some point you just wake up and say, okay, enough is enough. I don't want to do it anymore. Or do you work more on KPIs or numbers?
I would say probably more numbers and KPIs, but you always have to have intuition as well, right? It's a combination of both. I mean, generally, if you are good with numbers, intuition probably comes from those numbers as well, because you might notice numbers or patterns quicker, or you might not. You might just notice them subconsciously and not even consciously. So that's where intuition comes in, I guess.
Right. So it's a combination of both, right?
Yes, I would say it's a combination of
Okay.
both. I mean, you have to be able to do both, but yeah, in the end, they probably rely more on the numbers and make sure that it's working.
Okay. Speaking now to whoever wants to switch their role in a life from a manager who's hired somewhere to the person who's running his own business or her own business. What were your biggest surprises? Like, what did you not see coming?
There's a lot of people might not understand always how much work it goes into every part of the business. everyone normally is very sheltered in their roles, so they might not experience the entirety of running a business basically. So that's probably eye-opening. That's much more things to do really than you think from start. There's always problems that needs to be fired. Always firefighting to be done everywhere, right?
But that's surprising. You say that as a former, did I get it right? Managing director. So a person who oversees basically the whole operations in a whole company or division of it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, to some extent, I was overseeing a lot of things. I mean, when I was at Betsson, the managing directors at Betsson obviously have more from a commercial perspective, and I mean, they see all the costs and so on as well. But the effort it takes from legal departments, from finance, from auditors department, all of those other ancillary stuff that goes on outside of just building a product or selling a product.
All right. So coming back to the question, the biggest takeaways and biggest aha moments as a former employee and entrepreneur at some point. Uh, Anything else that you'd like to show with the listeners?
I mean, I think the biggest part is that you have to have a great team together with you, and you need to be able to trust that your idea when you're moving into an entrepreneurial thing is a good one, and that it will work, or that someone wants to buy your idea, right?
Mhm.
In the end, you can build everything you want, and then if no one comes and buys it, then you stand there and you have a tool that no one wants. So it's always good to see an opportunity from having the problems yourselves.
Mhm.
I mean, the whole reason behind the Unibo, which is unified back office, was that we were using various amounts of providers, game providers' own tools. So let's say Pragmatic Play has drops and wins, Play and Go has mystery jackpots, NetEnt had tournament tools very early on, and so on. So all the providers we saw were building their own tools because very few of the operators built these tools themselves. Uh, Obviously, there's the issue there was that each when you have use the tools of a provider, you can obviously only use the games for that provider in your promotions. So you would need to either teach your people how to use all the different back offices of all the different providers, or you have to cherry pick the which ones are your big ones, or so on. So we wanted to have a tool that we could use, just pick and choose any combination of games you wanted to do in a Christmas campaign, and actually have a full range of Christmas games, and not just the 5 Christmas games that comes from this provider or the other 5 that comes from this one. So we saw that need for something, and we saw that operators with their own especially the ones with their own platforms, have so many things burning, so they can never do more innovative things. It's always, let's add another provider, or let's add another payment method, or let's go into another jurisdiction. And now we're in another jurisdiction, now we need to fix the platform for these 500 different things that has to go into this one. And oh, someone in that older jurisdiction, they made some changes now, so now we have to fix all of those things as well. So I mean, you're probably very well versed in how these things work, and that generally leaves no time for innovation. For it's always a catch up game for all the platforms, and that's where I think niche companies like mine, Unibo, such as other companies, come and fill a role. They can provide something state of the art rather than doing an MVP as you probably do, and then you get to do something else from that MVP about 2 years later when all the other things in the roadmap have been cleaned up.
I'm laughing because I've seen that a number of times. People trying to push MVPs with the products who actually nobody needs, and there's this big drive to create a product and then to create a market for the product. When basically what you just said, it's very easy. Like find the need in the market and then fulfill it. That's it. Full stop. Period. Nothing more. Uh, so it's not easy, but it's at the same time it's very easy, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, I mean, you probably often need to be deep into the market or the industry yourself, so that you are on the floor, so to speak, and you know what's going on and where the real problems are with your employees or the people that are using your tools and so on. That's only then you can see the issues and fix them, hopefully.
When you decided to run your company and there was this day when you woke up and you were no longer an employee of some other company. That was the day when you became the owner and the founder of your own company. Uh, how did you want to tackle it? Did you create a specified plan, KPIs, a vision, mission written down, or was it more like let's just do it? What's your approach?
I think we had a good plan of what we wanted to build. The tool, I had a good preparation, sort of a Bible of what the tool should have, the basic ideas, the, well, not say minimum viable, but at least minimum likable product. And then I had a good idea of where we wanted it to be long term as well. So the vision of the tool, but then of course you iron out the ways to get there as you go along. You're gonna fall into some pitfalls. You're gonna probably do some mistakes, and the important thing is to learn from the mistakes and keep always learning and try to make sure that you don't repeat the mistakes.
But how deeply do you think about it, or shall I say overthink it? How much time do you spend on planning related to actually doing?
I would say that we planned in the beginning, but I think there was more doing as when we started the companies. We did some planning before, and then a few months, and then when we first started, we kind of hit the ground running, and we found some developers in Poland actually, where so we worked with those developers for 2-3 years, and then we have now recently moved our developments to Vietnam. So that's a challenge in itself. Interesting to reach out into unknown parts of the world, or at least things that you haven't really seen too much before.
I gotta pursue. One of the things that we at Create IT do is basically outsourcing our developers. So I need to pursue that topic. So what was difficult in outsourcing to Poland?
It was good in the beginning, but then as the product became more and more complex, it took longer and longer, and we had some staff turnover, which then obviously, as you know, the domain knowledge is key for any developers. So if when you don't have domain knowledge, everything starts taking a lot more time, and yeah, we got bogged down in yeah doing things the wrong way to begin with. So, but because it was an MVP product, and then we've had to clean up a lot of things and now organize it in a better way.
And then you decided to move to Vietnam, right?
But yeah, so our that was we wanted to try it out. It was good price level, and what I think is that you need to have a strong CTO on your end that can determine, yeah, that can make sure that they build the correct things.
Mm-hmm.
I think when we started the companies, we actually interviewed a range of different service providers or development service providers, and what we noticed was that the further east you went, the less things they wanted to control themselves, and the more it was more tell us what to do and we'll do it. Whilst we interviewed someone in the US, for example, and they told us, tell us your idea, and then we'll go away for 2 years and we'll come back in 2 years and show you the product. And we thought maybe that's not exactly how we want it. So in the beginning, we found the middle way in Poland, where it was a little bit halfway, both come with ideas and also taking notes from how we think it should be done as well.
I remember us talking before recording that episode, and you said that when you started in Vietnam, you had a number of funny or not that really funny situations in Vietnam. When you started looking for a right service provider and setting up. Oh, did you set up the entity in Vietnam, or is it still in Malta?
No, we use a partner there
Right. Okay.
for that.
Okay.
So it's not our own employees directly.
Right. Okay.
We use an outsourced partner,
Gotcha.
similar to Create IT.
All right. So, what were the biggest challenges for you at the beginning when you were looking for a company?
When we were looking for developers in Vietnam.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, we talked to a few different companies. We also talked to companies outside of Vietnam, Cambodia, and so on. I think the first thing is to understand that they have the capacity. So we did start actually with two companies when we started using two companies at the same time, and then we did a test project with each of them, and then the best one kind of won. So we noticed then that one of the companies were thousands of employees, and the other company was about 100 employees. And what we noticed was that the more employees they have, then they can actually staff up quicker, and they can, yeah, it gives you a lot of effort. Yeah, you can change things, and you can staff up or staff down depending on your needs quite quickly if you have a good partner. But then obviously it's always the language barrier that is important to make sure that the people on your team are good at English. Uh, One thing with developers is that they're always generally quite good in written English, but then might not always be great in spoken English.
Mm.
That's something we work with.
All right, all right. Did you get scammed at any point or not really?
No,
No.
actually, no, not really.
Good, good, good. I'm asking because
Yeah.
I get quite a lot of that. So you were lucky when it comes to that part.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that.
And how do they scam? How do they scam people then?
Um,
Give me your bank account.
but most of the cases, that's price. That's a price. Whoever you could get for, I don't know, 20, 30, 40, $50 per hour, you get for, I don't know, 80 or 90, only because you're Swedish or, American or whatever.
Ah, okay.
So we call it a tax.
I mean, yeah, okay, yeah, sure.
Also, the techniques that I've heard were that some of the people, when they look for the companies, like service providers in Vietnam or in Asia in general, they try to get the local advisor who then help them avoid traps like that, like too high prices or things like that. But then again, it turns out that the advisor is basically making money out of everybody, not really just helping you, if you know what I mean. Uh,
Yeah,
but you avoided it, so
sure.
that's good. That's good.
Yeah, I think we avoided it. I think we got good price, and I mean, you have to look into. Nowadays, you can use ChatGPT for everything. I think you can ask ChatGPT what the pricing should be at, so that you don't get scammed. And I'm sure it can provide you with everything, and even an idea of how to write to them in Vietnamese if you want.
That's true. So the key takeaways from that part, I would say, always keep the know-how on your end. It doesn't really matter what kind of service provider you have. That could be Poland, that could be Vietnam, that could be anywhere in the world. But you should have your own CTO, and you should keep the know-how at your end, not really at the service provider.
Yes, I think that's you need to have key knowledge in house.
Obviously.
Otherwise, I mean, if you need to be able to move, a good effort is to be able to move to another service provider as well. So
Mhm.
then you definitely know that you have the competence in house if you can manage to do that.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. And the second takeaway, what you said, that the more east you move, the more you have to be prepared for uh, defining the tasks in a very low level attitude. Uh, so that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yes.
All right.
I think yeah.
And the third takeaway is that, hey guys, GPT is here, so why don't you just use it?
Yeah, I would say that has saved me a lot of time and effort in the last half year. ChatGPT, Midjourney for images, Synthesia for videos. Anything with AI now seems to be cutting a lot of time and effort from people,
That's true.
so that you can focus on doing other things or just do more of the same thing.
Yep. So how do you choose? Because you obviously you sensed and you felt the benefits of outsourcing some parts of your team to wherever in the world. However, you still do hire people on site and full time with you, right? So what's the key for you?
I think it's mainly developers. That's a harder thing to find good ones, or if they want to work remote, or yeah, if having control of them can be a harder thing to do. I mean, you probably know that after COVID, that during COVID, a lot of changes happened to a lot of development companies
Of course.
in particular. So we had to move even more remote, and it can help sometimes, but also I think a lot of things gets lost between the tables when there's no tables in an office. I think it's quite important to be able to talk to people in an office setting, to solve things quicker, to be able to point at the screen and tell them something rather than saying, "Can we have a team huddle on Slack?" or yeah, just write someone and then expect an answer within
Mhm.
half an hour or so. I mean, emails is just going too slow to, and then you might have forgotten about it and so on. So I think it's really important to have an office environment, or at least have some sort of good functionality for fostering remote work.
So
With Unibo, we have almost everyone is remote work. So from that perspective, we have some people in Malta for sales. But other than that, we have obviously our developers in Vietnam. We have one guy in Poland, two people in Sweden. So we're pretty spread out when it comes to that, like that.
what exactly tools are you using, and how do you organize the daily communication within the company?
We use Slack primarily as our chat tool. I think it's nice that internet relay chat is back. I remember 20, 30 years ago we're using IRC, and now it feels like it's come back again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Channel functionality. So I mean, before you used Skype, of course, as well, but I think Slack is taking over all of that now. And of course, we use Slide as a knowledge sharing tool. If you're not familiar with it, it's just sharing knowledge, and you can have your all. It's like a wiki of knowledge and so on.
Mhm.
Yeah, those are the key things that we worked. And obviously, we have our own tool that we're building ourselves. That's a lot of QA and so on and go forth. And then we have a bunch of development tools, of course, for making sure our development goes smoother. But then for content production, we use ChatGPT, Midjourney, those things quite a lot. So AI is really helping out in that sense, and I think it's gonna be interesting to see over the next year or 2 years what AI can do, because it will probably do a lot of changes to the world,
Oh yeah.
for good and for bad. We'll see.
For that, what do you think could go wrong?
Well, we've seen Terminator, right?
Oh yeah.
No, but whenever there comes a new technology, you change it up a lot of things, and then some jobs become obsolete, but then a lot of other jobs are created because of the one tool. So we've seen in the past where improvements in the industrial sector have cut a lot of jobs, but then all of the jobs have come up somewhere else.
That's true. So if you were to speculate, what's your view on the impact of AI on the iGaming sector in general? Not only Unibo, but in general.
I think it has a lot of effect. It's just starting now, but I mean, soon you will be able to do almost anything you need with AI, and AI will be able to build things a lot faster. I mean, I think in development in general, I think AI can, I mean, it's like your coding buddy kind of. It will help you just get everything much quicker done than if you have to write everything from scratch. You get your base, and then you can tweak and fix things if so on. You can ask for guidance from ChatGPT, and it's most likely going to give you some good advice. And we're still only like on what, chap 4.0, what is it, 4.5 now? I don't know. But give it another year, give it another 2 years, and then it's just going to be a lot better. It's already a lot better than it was 3.5, so it's just going to become very, very good, I think.
But do you think
So
it will be a matter of improving the efficiency of the company like yours or mine, or also on the market, on the players' behavior, on the I don't know.
I mean, it can be used in so many. I mean, you have personalized journeys, personalized campaigns you can have. Then you obviously have AI as a Mindway AI, for example, the company that works with responsible gambling and tracking all those different behavioral points that computers are just really good at tracking, right? Taking a lot of data and making sense of the data, and then giving you some idea of what you need to action based on the data. So those kind of areas, same as with campaigns and promotions and bonus abuse, you can find they yeah AI is good at going through vast amounts of data and find patterns, whether that's responsible gambling patterns, bonus abuse patterns, tournament abuse patterns, any sort of this player seems to have an edge on us, depending on if it's card games, card counting, or whatever. So all those things will be much easier to handle now with AI, which then leads you to use your time for something else instead of just spending it doing these things. Because obviously you would have people do those things before, and now AI can take care of it, so those people can do other things for you.
Like gamble, for instance.
Yeah, they can gamble for you.
Which would then again bring more traffic to our websites and then again make us even richer than we are.
Exactly.
All right, let's speak a little bit about Unibo itself. So, if you were to give me that elevator pitch, like what exactly Unibo does at the moment?
I mean, I guess the elevator pitch is that we provide online casinos with probably one of the better retention tools on the market right now. It's real-time updates for the players about their campaigns, their tournaments, their missions, their price drops, jackpots. So basically, we allow creative CRM teams to become more creative again and not just bogged down in setups or translations or all those things. We want people to spend time being creative, thinking about what to offer players, how to create a monthly calendar for the players so they can actually come to play the same games that you have and that everyone else have on your site rather than playing them somewhere else.
All right.
I mean, nowadays everyone have 10,000 games, right? So it's time that you need to do something on top of those games so that players come to your site instead of going somewhere else.
It sounds like a very difficult thing to integrate to the casino, right? It sounds like you need to really go deep with the existing platforms.
It's not that difficult. We need basically three things. We need to have a events feed, which is generally something you already have available for your CRM tool or your mailing tool or something like that. So we need a real-time feed of all your bets, deposits, and wins. Then we need to take your rewards API. So we reverse integrate. So we basically make sure that Unibo can tell your platform to pay out bonuses, pay out free spins, pay out cash. So that's basically a work that we do on our end when we do the integration. And then after that, it's just a JavaScript on your gameplay pages and a little bit of QA. So from going live, if you have an event stream available and you have a rewards API, we can do most of the work in 1.5 to 2 months. And then you can basically put the JavaScript and a few cookies on your gameplay pages, and then you can run your campaigns.
Okay, it doesn't sound that bad.
Coming from an operator, as I mentioned before, right? It's that there is no time. You never have any time. There's a roadmap that's 100 miles long, or at least 24 months. And if you want a operator to do any job, they can maybe do some front end work, but generally back end work is very, very far away in a long roadmap. So we try to make it so that we do as much of the back end work as possible on our end with reverse integration rather than requiring people to integrate to us.
That's another takeaway for whoever wants to run their own business. Like you really have to understand these struggles and the pains of your clients. And since you've been there and you really know how it works, then you know how important it is to save those little tiny minutes, seconds, and hours and weeks of development here for your clients to be really ready to use your product. That's amazing.
One thing that I noticed that you notice with big companies, it's that when you work with big companies, there's always a lot of people that want to join meetings. I've been in meetings now with 15 people in the meeting, and they all call in, and I'm always wondering, but is no one where does everyone really have to be in this meeting, or could this be a summarized email for someone after the meeting?
That's so true. I've seen this kind of. I think that was a plugin. I think that was for Microsoft Teams, but supposedly they had the version for Slack and Google Meets as well. That was a plugin which told you how much the meeting costed. If
Oh yeah,
calculating the hourly salaries and all that, and that really opens up the eyes of the management. Uh,
yeah.
yeah. All right.
No, I remember. Yeah,
I'm asking all those questions because you're definitely the guy to talk to about player retention. From the perspective of what keeps the players still playing? What keeps them on coming back? What keeps them on choosing one casino over another one? Uh, do you have any non-obvious observations for another casino operators here? Like, uh, the things that you witnessed.
Well, I mean, people, a lot of players, they don't always know why they, or people think that the players are have one reason for doing something, but when you drill down into it, people do things differently. I mean, it's playing casino games, for example. You ask a VIP why he likes this game and that game and the games he plays, like then it won't be like, oh, because they're all Egypt games, or they're all one. No, one might be that he plays this music game whenever he plays with his wife, and then he likes dogs, and then this one dog slot he likes also, and then another might just be, oh, well, I tried it in the casino one time and I won on it, so therefore I always go back to playing it, and so on. So there's never not always a red thread into why people do different things. But I think the key is that if you provide a good service for your players, if you're attentive and you have good support, then at least you can save them from leaving you. If you Because people don't people stop people leave you when there's when everything has gone bad, basically. When people might they're not always enticed. If they signed up with you and they verified their account with you, and then they sent in all the documents, they're quite happy about that then, and they don't want to go through that process somewhere else unless they're a bonus abuser. Then they'll have all of those documents just in a folder ready to drag and drop into the email chat.
Mhm.
But otherwise, normal people don't generally like doing proof of address or KYC, or sending in documents and taking photos of their credit card and removing 4 digits or 6 digits and hide that and that and that. So for a lot of normal people, I say normal because we in iGaming, we're used to all these things that you have to prove things, but normal people normally don't do those things. So for them, it's a hassle to do it. So then, when they've done it, they normally try to stick around unless they get a really good reason to leave. And that might be poor support, or might be that they just can't get their money out because of payment methods not being existing, and so on. So, as long as you have all those things in place, you can probably keep the customers longer than others.
Again, I have a feeling that today we are talking mostly about things that are obvious, but then again, not obvious at all. I mean, everybody knows that what you just said, like, everybody knows that if a player wants some money, he wants that money to be paid out easily and quickly. But if you take a look how many casino operators don't really think about that process and have it so difficult and so long and overcomplicated, that's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, then obviously it's dependent on what jurisdictions you're playing from, and if you're in Curacao or if you're in somewhere else, then obviously payment methods aren't always as easily gotten as if you're in a local license, and then have and maybe not even then. For example, you take the Swedish license. When they opened up, only the big companies got access to the Swedish instant bank transfer called Swift.
Mhm.
Many other licensees didn't get access by the Swedish banks because they thought they were Maltese companies that shouldn't have access. So there was only the Svenska Spel and the big boys that got access to that instant bank right away. So in some cases, even though you have a local license, you're still shut out from the system to some extent.
Let's say I'm a casino operator and I'm in the process of choosing the right CRM for my casino. And obviously, I want what every other casino operator wants. I want to, keep my players with me. I want to maximize the value from one player and all that. What are your, if you were to give like three, I don't know, three, five most important factors that you think everybody who's looking for the right CRM and right system of that kind should look at before buying?
Yeah, if you look at communication CRMs, I would say that being able to reach the client, knowing when the client opens their games, emails, and opens their communication is probably key to when you should. So nowadays, these you have to obviously have that kind of funneling functionality to make sure that communications goes to the players at the right time, and not as we always did in the past, send everything at once. Everything goes out at noon on a Friday, and then everyone doesn't matter where in the world you are, you get it at noon GMT on a Friday. So obviously nowadays with a little bit more AI help, and computers can actually sort out, so they actually send it punched out. But then I think in general, I think a lot of online casinos focus a lot on bonuses, particularly deposit bonuses. I mean, we know that everyone that you see online is marketing bonuses. We also know that 50% of the players don't even take the welcome offer. They don't want to play with bonuses because they might think that they're gonna get stuck in a wagering requirement that's gonna take them to hell and back. But so it's actually the good players, they don't take bonuses. And we know that all of the bad players, they do take bonuses because they know how to abuse the bonuses. So they're going to take you for more money than they deposit. So moving away from high deposit bonuses and instead spreading the bonus cost, as it's called, across the entire gaming session for a player is something that I think should be happening sooner rather than later. Because when you give the player a 100% deposit bonus up to X, then it normally pushes players to deposit slightly more than we were wanted to deposit, because they see, oh well, if I deposit all the way up there, I get even more bonus. And then when they start with double the amount on their balance, they're gonna increase their bets. So they're gonna bet higher, and they're gonna, especially since they think they have to get through the wagering requirement as well, so they're gonna lose their money just as quickly as they would have if they didn't have a bonus. So they're actually not having more fun with their bonus. They have a higher number, but it goes down just as fast percentage wise because now they're betting twice as much. Or if they go ahead and win, then they're going to win twice as much as well. So you, as the online operator, you're going to lose money from people withdrawing because they've now won up a significant amount. So they want to withdraw. So instead of doing that, you should spread the bonus money over a longer period of time. So during the player's gaming session, he gets drip fed more and more smaller bonuses than just one big at the beginning of the bonus or the gaming session.
All right.
So I think that's the key thing I think will happen in the next few years, is moving away from just very easy deposit and get bonuses to instead spreading out your bonus cost and giving the real players the rewards rather than just one shoe fits all kind of thing, which deposit bonuses are, or cash. Players don't really want to deposit. They understand they have to deposit, but if you reward someone for making a deposit, you're not really rewarding the player for something they want to do. The players want to play or they want to win. So if you reward the players when they play or when they win, it's probably going to be better for the player's point of view than rewarding him when he makes deposit or loses as cashback. It's like, okay, as long if you lose, we'll give you more money back. Okay, but I don't want to lose.
I get it. All right. Thank you for that. So I think at the beginning you said there's also another company that you run. Did I get it correctly? Is it Scatters?
Yes, Scatters.
What's that?
We do white label online casinos. So as we started two companies, one operator side and one provider side, or gamification tool. So the whole idea in the beginning was that we would go to a platform and we will start a brand on their platform, and then we connect our tool and we run the tool. So we had double exposure for our tool, and also could use it and make it better. So we sort of did all that trial testing ourselves, right?
Awesome.
So that
Awesome.
the
And
tool would be good once we got it out.
does it work for you?
Yeah, it's worked for a while now. So
Awesome. Awesome.
now we're separating the companies more and more. They're fully separated now, so no one is working on two companies anymore. But it was interesting to start with. But that was also what I mentioned. We had a lot of different focus areas. So sometimes it might have been better to focus on one thing, but all in the end, it's been really good to have this setup from the start.
Awesome, awesome. So that's a real synergy that you created between those companies. But do you still
Yeah,
manage both companies?
I primarily work with Unibo now. I'm still involved in Scatters to some extent, but primarily I work with Unibo full time.
All right. So I suppose you had to go through the process of choosing the right person to manage Scatters, right?
We were 6 founders in the beginning that were split across the companies. So we've sort of fallen into our right positions as we've grown and taking the roles that we've planned to have from the beginning. But so yeah, I had worked with everyone before, so it was a matter of working with prior colleagues and starting this together with all of them. So it was a good start.
Right. That's a smart way because I thought that you had to choose somebody from your employees, which would be a way different process. But yeah, smart, smart.
Yeah, I mean, I think people always say you shouldn't do business with friends. I think it depends. You probably shouldn't go to your best friend and say, "Let's start a business." But if you have colleagues that you're friends with, then you can break off and start a business and doing the things that you're already doing, right?
After all those years, would you still consider your friends as friends, and would you still be able to go with them for a beer and not talk about job whatsoever?
Yeah, I still consider all of them friends, and I can go and have beers with them. But I probably have a hard time not talking about job. But that's me. I talk about job with my other friends as well.
Yeah, yeah, I know the pain. I know the pain,
I mean,
unfortunately.
in iGaming, it kind of gets to that point when you're in Malta or so on, because you work with a lot. You're exposed to a lot of people from the iGaming industry, right? So a lot of if you're an expat in Malta, you're probably going to have a lot of friends that are in iGaming because that's the primary job for expats in Malta. Of course, you have the tourism and so on as well, but and banking, etc. But iGaming obviously is a very, very big part of expats' workload in Malta.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what I get a lot as well. All right. So to summarize our today's conversation, you are the person who founded the business with friends, which you still are friends with. Then you founded the business which is successful from the day one. Oh well, maybe not the day one, but eventually it got successful.
Yeah,
And
eventually.
uh, you were brave enough to look all over the world to complete your team and to make your operations efficient. Speaking about Vietnam here, uh, you did manage not only to launch one company, but as well, more than one to create some kind of synergy between them. It looks all easy. It looks all like, bed of roses. Just do it. You're going to be rich. You're going to be happy. You're going to be all great and handsome. What's the catch? There has to be some catch, right?
Yeah, you have to work a lot, a lot. You have to work a lot, and you have to worry a lot, and you have to. Yeah, it's not always. It's not always easy. It's generally almost never easy. It's always something else that's burning, something else that needs fixing, something that you think about, and so on. So often when you create your own companies or you drive things, then you generally think about those things all the time. It's probably quite hard sometimes to detach and
Hmm.
think about something else.
If you,
But I
if
have
you
two great sons that help me detach, and I can play games with them instead. They're 6 and 8 years old, so
Congratulations. Congratulations. That's, yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Alexis. Thank you for your time today. That was a great pleasure to host you tonight. And thank you.
thanks
And
for having me.
uh, will you, where we could meet you? Are you going to attend ICE in London?
Yes, I will be at many conferences this year.
Which
So
exactly?
last year I think I went to 15 last year or something, and primarily in Europe. But this year it's ICE. Then I think I'm in Prague in the end of March. Then it's Casino Beats and iGaming Next in Malta. Then there's one in Tallinn in June, and then you obviously have IGB Live in Amsterdam, the big summer last year there, I guess. So we'll see where they're going. They're going next year, but this year is probably going to be a good blow up. I guess next year they're going to be at Excel, right? I think IGB Live is moving to
Yeah.
London when ICE is moving to Spain, right?
Yeah. That's what I heard.
Yeah. Then second half of the year, probably a few different Sigmas. Sigma in Balkans, I think that's in Budapest this year,
I don't know. Frankly
if I'm
speaking,
not
I didn't
mistaken.
check that.
Yeah, there was the one that was in Cyprus last year, or this,
Okay.
yeah, 2023.
Okay.
Yeah, no. So I'll be traveling around Europe mainly,
All right.
flying
Good.
around.
That should be quite easy to meet you in person.
Yes. Otherwise, I'm always in Malta as well, so anyone is feel free to come and visit here.
You're welcome, people. Then. Okay. Thank you so much for tonight, and have a good one.
Thank you. Have a great one.